Welcome. In this section we will review the major groups of the bones of the hand, so that you have a clear map before zooming into the details. All orientations are given in the standard position. The palm facing forward, the thumb side is radial, the little finger side is ulnar, the palmar side is the front of the hand, and the dorsal side is the back. The skeleton of the hand is divided into three major groups. The first is the carpus, or wrist. Here 8 short bones are arranged in 2 rows, a proximal row and a distal row. Together they form an arch, and on the palmar side this arch does not close completely. This creates the palmar groove of the wrist, the sulcus carpi. Its special significance lies in the fact that above it stretches the strong ligament of the flexor tendons, the retinaculum flexorum. Together, these form the carpal tunnel, through which the flexor tendons and the median nerve pass. We will briefly return to this at the end of the video. The second unit is the metacarpus, or palm. Here we count 5 long bones from radial to ulnar side, numbered 1 to 5. Each bone has a base, a shaft, and a head. The bases articulate with the carpal bones, while the heads form ball and socket joints with the proximal phalanges. These tubular bones create the longitudinal arches of the palm and transmit much of the gripping force. The third unit is the phalanges, or finger bones. The thumb has 2 phalanges, a proximal and a distal, while the other fingers have 3 each, proximal, middle, and distal. Each phalanx has a base, a shaft, and a head. The distal phalanges have a strong, bulbous tip beneath the nail, designed to bear loads during touch and fine grasping. Around the base joint of the thumb, sesamoid bones are usually present. These give the tendons a favorable leverage. In summary, seen from above, the 2 rows of the carpus form a palmar groove, the sulcus carpi, which is the basis of the carpal tunnel. In front of this, the 5 rays of the metacarpus connect the wrist to the bases of the fingers. Distally, the phalanges build the fingers, with the thumb having 2 and the other fingers 3 each. With this outline it becomes easy to place the detailed structures and understand how the arched skeleton of the carpus, the radiating force-transmitting metacarpus, and the fine mechanics of the fingers all work together. Let's begin with the carpus, or wrist. This is a unit made up of 8 small, cube-like bones arranged in 2 rows. The structure is both rigid and mobile. The bones do not lie in a single plane but instead form a concave arch on the palmar side and a convex arch on the dorsal side. This palmar concavity creates the base of the sulcus carpi, which we will discuss separately. In the proximal row, moving from the thumb side toward the little finger, we find the following bones: the os scaphoideum, the os lunatum, the os triquetrum, and finally the os pisiform. It is important to note that the pisiform does not stand in line with the others but rather sits on the palmar surface of the triquetrum, like a small seated bone, and therefore behaves differently in movement. In the distal row, from lateral to medial, we have the os trapezium, the os trapezoideum, the os capitatum, and the os hamatum. Among these, the os hamatum deserves special attention because on its palmar side it bears a palpable little hook, the hamulus ossis hamati. This hook, together with the pisiform, forms the medial boundary of the sulcus carpi, while laterally the tubercles of the scaphoid and trapezium mark the groove. In summary, it is useful to fix the scheme in mind like this: 8 bones in 2 rows. The proximal row is scaphoid, lunate, triquetrum, with the pisiform sitting on top. The distal row is trapezium, trapezoideum, capitatum, hamatum. The concave palmar arch forms the sulcus carpi, bounded medially by the pisiform and the hamulus, and laterally by the scaphoid and trapezium tubercles. Now let's look at the sulcus carpi, the palmar groove of the wrist. When the hand is held with the palm facing upward, the carpal bones form a concave arch. Its base is the bony floor, and its 2 sides rise as the radial and ulnar eminences. On the radial side, the proximal landmark is the tuberculum ossis scaphoidae and the distal landmark is the tuberculum ossis trapezii. Together, they form the outer boundary of the groove. On the ulnar side, the proximal point is the os pisiform and the distal point is the hamulus ossis hamati. These 2 form the inner boundary. Between these 4 easily palpable bony landmarks stretches the groove itself, the sulcus carpi. It is important to remember that the carpal bones are arranged in 2 rows and not in a single plane. Because of this, their natural concavity toward the palm automatically creates the groove. When a strong fibrous roof, the retinaculum flexorum, spans between the 2 eminences, the open groove becomes a closed tunnel, the canalis carpi. Within this tunnel run the long flexor tendons and the median nerve, which is why these bony, ligamentous borders are of such great anatomical and clinical significance. To put it all together, laterally, the tubercles of the scaphoid and trapezium, medially, the pisiform and the hook of the hamate outline the 2 side walls. Between them, the arched carpal bones form the floor. It is worth fixing this picture in mind: 4 bony landmarks, 2 eminences, a bony groove, which with the spanning of the retinaculum becomes the canalis carpi. Now let's turn to the metacarpus, or palm. It consists of 5 short tubular bones, numbered from the thumb side toward the little finger as 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Each bone has 3 main parts: proximally the base, in the middle the shaft, and distally the head. The shaft is slightly curved, with a gentle convexity toward the dorsum of the hand. Seen from the side, this curve creates the longitudinal arch of the palm and helps to distribute loads during gripping. The base is wedge-shaped and usually carved with flat articular surfaces, connecting both with the carpal bones and with neighboring metacarpals. Because of these small intermetacarpal facets, the palm's bony rays are both stable and flexible. The distal head is hemispherical, but its sides are cut off by palmar expansions, so the head appears wedge-shaped when viewed from the front. This form ensures smooth flexion and extension at the metacarpophalangeal joints, while guiding side-to-side movements with precision. A key landmark is that the palmar side of the heads is broader. The first metacarpal, the thumb ray, deserves special attention. Its base bears a true saddle surface with 2 perpendicular concavities. This articulates with the trapezium and provides the thumb with its exceptional mobility, abduction and adduction, flexion and extension, and the combined movement of opposition. The head of the first metacarpal is not hemispherical but rather cylindrical, resembling a trochlea. For this reason, the movement pattern at the thumb's base joint is different from that of the other fingers. In fact, in form it is closer to a phalanx. Now let's review the bones of the fingers, the phalanges. The fingers are numbered from radial to ulnar. The thumb is digitus primus, or pollex. Then comes the index finger, digitus secundus, or index. Next the middle finger, digitus tertius, or digitus medius. Then the ring finger, digitus quartus, or digitus annularis. And finally the little finger, digitus quintus, or digitus minimus. The framework of each finger is built of phalanges. Except for the thumb, each finger has 3, proximal, middle, and distal. The thumb lacks the middle phalanx and has only a proximal and a distal. Each phalanx is a short tubular bone with a proximal base, a shaft, and a distal head. The exception is the distal phalanx. Instead of a rounded head, it ends with a broad, rough tuberosity on its palmar side, the tuberositus phalanges distalis. This tuberosity anchors the connective tissue septa of the fingertip and provides firm support for the pulp of the finger and the nail, which is why we can palpate stably with a padded fingertip. To summarize, the thumb has 2 phalanges, proximal and distal, with a marked tuberosity at the distal end to support the nail and fingertip. The other fingers have 3 phalanges each, all with the base, shaft, head arrangement. The proximal base receives the rounded head of the metacarpal, creating a more mobile metacarpophalangeal joint. The middle and distal phalanges articulate in a cylinder and groove system, ensuring the precise hinge-like flexion and extension of the finger. Together these structures provide the fine mechanics of the fingers, upon which all gripping and precise manipulation depend.